in the rent house.
That's right.
And don't worry, we don't agree, but we'll still do business.
Absolutely.
First thing I did in 2016, I called my realtor and said, hey, they want to put a roundabout in here. How's that going to affect my property? She said, Brad, it's statistically proven, and this is my realtor, she said, and this was not, sometimes engineering and what you think are not the same. So I think that's where you have to be more open when the experts say, these are the facts. You know, you got to kind of say, okay, these people do this for a living. Now, my empirical thought would be stop signs better, red lights better. What she told me was that it's statistically proven that people don't want, people prefer a roundabout because they don't want people stopping in front of the property. They don't like it. That goes contrary well with thought. When she said that, very respected realtor, okay, she knows what she's talking about, I'm good. At that point, I signed on for the roundabout. I've publicly supported the roundabout with an email, which hopefully will get posted on the record. I feel like the benefit to the city is going to be amazing. I mean, it's going to change that road from what looks like some kind of service road into a nice residential area. And if you think about it, you can run a stop sign, you can run a red light. You can't, you run a roundabout, you're going to pay when you hit the center roundabout. So I do have one question. Is there statistics that show whether stop signs and red light intersections have a higher volume of accident than roundabouts? Is there any documentation of that? So which one is the statistically higher amount of accidents?
Generally, what I've seen in the literature is roundabouts are expected to be 40 to 50% safer.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, and it's
all about automobiles or pedestrians.
It's all about both. It's all about speed. Speed kills. When you're in the safety business, we all study it all day long. Speed kills. A roundabout is the point of it is to slow traffic down.
Right.
Now, you might have an occasional sideswipe, but you're not going to have a T-bone. You're not going to have head-ons. They serve that purpose of calming the traffic.
If people say you have to slow down, you're going to hit whatever's the bushes or whatever's in the...
There won't be any of that.
You're going to...
So you can drive, it's built so you can drive over. Just to be clear. But otherwise you'd have problems with fire trucks.
Fire trucks.
Yeah, if you put the things you're talking about, you'd have problems with fire trucks and everything else. So it's got to be that way, but...
So the other question is, with
So
dams...
nothing prevents people from driving over it, is what you're saying?
Let's let Brad finish his
speed bump.
comment. So the only other question I had was what Dan was talking about, just and to ask you this question. Is it true that if you put a red light, you're going to have to straighten Yale?
That's correct, yes.
And so that means whatever it takes you're going to have to acquire that property to straighten Yale.
That's correct.
Yeah. So somebody's going to lose a lot of property.
Which I've offered to donate mine.
Well,
That's not really an argument.
does that fix it?
Yeah, that's just strange. It's got to come on one side or the other.
No, but
As soon as I said that, we moved it.
backed up.
As soon as they said that, they moved it to the other side, which is a lot of what we've seen.
Okay, so they probably have an engineering purpose for that.
I was also told to start with, they can't put roundabouts when they don't line up. Now all of a sudden, that's the best option.
Every pictures I've seen up there are roundabouts that don't line up, which to me means a roundabout's better when it doesn't line up. So anyway, that's my two questions. So you've answered those. I want to go on the record publicly. I am 25% that corner. I do vote. I've had a business in River Oaks for 20 years. I've lived here for 6 years. Really appreciate the work that all of y'all do. Really appreciate what y'all are doing. And I will go on the record saying I'm 100% in support of the roundabout. And again, on the property that's 25%, and we'll give whatever of my property needs to be given for that to happen, so.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
And telling us, that's what we need to hear either way.
Yeah. Anybody else going? I'm up here, I guess I'll go. Brent Forster, 5601 James Drive. So you just said, Jill, that you can't put a stoplight where the roads don't match up. What about University and Park Hill in Fort Worth?
I'm unaware of where that is.
So University and Park Hill, it's a stoplight. Probably has not been improved using federal funds.
Fancy neighborhood.
And so, since we're using state and federal dollars, we have to design a roadway that conforms to those state and federal standards. And so Jill's design has to meet a whole bevy of review. And so I think the biggest issue here tonight, and I'm new to River Road, but my best friends lived here, her and her dad lived here forever. The biggest issue that I've seen throughout all of this is the non-transparency. You say one thing, you'll say another thing, and I understand that this might be different than what y'all are doing because now you have to meet certain regulations and guidelines. However, when you say one thing and we know that there's something like it, I think there needs to be more transparency around it. Just go back to where they measure the road for me, if you've got your phone. So this one, I don't live on this road, but this is hard for me to understand. So you're going from 211s and 212s, which add up to 44. You add this up, this is going to 50. That's where I think this lady over here is getting confused, just like I am, and I don't even have property on this road. The whole easement and the whole going onto their property and having to move everything, I think because the numbers are not lining up, and I'm a numbers guy. 44 to 50, where's the other 6 foot, and then what does that do to the easement, and what does that do to you going onto people's property? And is this the entire length of Main Road? This is the entire length of Meandering Road. Okay. There is a defined right-of-way in the corridor. Okay, when you say right-of-way, do you mean? I mean publicly owned right-of-way from one side to the other. So just the concrete.
No, that usually includes. That includes. You're inching their curb, so to speak. That's the point I was trying to make.
There's a public right-of-way on each side. And we have been focused on putting this road inside that public right-of-way, so we do not have to acquire anyone's right-of-way, their front yards. We do not require any property along the road except for the purpose of the intersection. So your right-of-way is 50 feet as it stands today?
I believe it's actually 60.
Okay. So nobody is, that I think is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think from what I can gather from what she's saying and what Councilwoman Houck's been saying is that I think is making that more understanding to people. Because for me, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, that doesn't add up to what is currently there if you go back to your other one. So I think transparency and saying, okay, your concrete is 50. But then you go beyond that, and we're not going beyond that. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right, so like in a more traditional neighborhood, you'd have a patch of grass maybe, and then a 3-foot sidewalk. And basically, normally the city would own that sidewalk all the way to the street. That's their right-of-way.
But there's nothing out there now, so we're adding that, so you don't see it right
people
now.
think of their property is really not theirs, that's right-of-way. So they're gonna take it and not pay anybody.
Because it's already the city.
All of that.
That's, I think, where the big misconception from what I'm gathering is as well.
So what is that, the width of that right-of-way?
I think she said
It's like
64.
on the grass. So from the curb to in my yard, what is the city's right-of-way?
It used to be 10
So,
feet.
It's different in different places, but I
I think
think
that
It's
should be
50 feet of concrete and then 64 is
I sure know what my plot of land is.
I think it's 10. I think so.